Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Lauren Rei, right here on the Lauren Rei Live Show on What Ice Radio. And I got my boy, Jay the Gentleman here. What's up, Jay?
What's up? What's up? Happy to be back.
Yes, we are back, everybody, in virtual land.
Virtual land.
No, we're just really at home. We just decided to do the backgrounds tonight.
Word.
Speaking of which, Jay, what's this background you got going on?
Oh, it's my logo. You know what I'm saying?
Jay,
I tried it last week with an event. And I was just like, let me just see what it looks like. So I just kind of like left it up. It looks cool.
Nice. I love it. So everybody knows Jay the Gentleman. You guys got to check his stuff out. He is the host with the mostest. He does all the good stuff. Make sure you guys check out his website. But right now, he is going to be my co-pilot as usual for
Let's do it.
Episode of the Lauren Rei Live Show. So you guys, we are still home, kind of in quarantine. And we just said that we were going to get back at it and start getting you guys back the heavy hitters, the movers and shakers in our area. And tonight is a really special show because I would love to say he's the first Bison on the show, but he isn't. We actually had another Howard alum on this show. But he is a very close and dear friend to mine. And he has a really good organization right now called Positive Deposits, where they are transforming lives to change, transforming minds to save lives. It is a cancer organization, and he is actually a two-time cancer survivor as well. And so without further ado, I'm going to be introducing my best friend, CEO and founder of PositiveDeposits.org, Presley Nelson, everybody.
Yay!
What up, what up, what up?
What's up,
Welcome
Press?
to the show. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, we quarantine, huh?
Yeah.
We've been talking about having Prez come on for a while.
I know, man.
I was just about to say that. I was like, I'm probably going to get tons of flack for that.
Oh, yo, Jay, man, I said, look, so I was just waiting my turn. I'm just like, I ain't gonna say that. I'm saying, I'm like, and then it just keeps going and going. I was like, you know,
year after year after year.
I'm like, you know, it's all good. You know, she's blowing up.
No, it's not that. But did I pick the best time though?
Timing is everything. Timing is everything.
All right, patience. So, so this was definitely the best time to have you on the show, Press. To give everybody just a little bit of background, talk to us about your story with having cancer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So for those that don't know, I'm a Presley Nelson Jr., you know, two-time cancer survivor, and I love talking about my journey. You know, I think that it's me and Lauren, we talk about this all the time. You gotta, you know, wear your mat, and cancer is one of my mats. You know, I have various mats, but so let's get into it. I was diagnosed in 2012, CBC, which is Congressional Black Caucus, and I started to know have some side effects as I found out, where I was actually having enlarged lymph nodes on my neck and excruciating pains of headaches. And I rushed to the hospital that night because I was partying. I was just like, yo, this ain't nothing, man. And what ended up happening is that the doctor said you have a mass of size of this. Like,
wow.
Like this. If y'all can see. So like a tennis ball. And when I heard mass, I was just like, automatically cancer. But he said you can't go anywhere. And so after they did the biopsy, and I was in the hospital for about a week, they diagnosed me with what is called large B-cell lymphoma. And so that's Hodgkin's. And that's Hodgkin's really is really pertaining to like the type of cells that it affects. And so, man, it was life-changing because I never knew that I would get cancer at the age of 29. Now, mind you, a month later will be my 30th birthday. So welcome to 30 and you got cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was a journey. It was the chemo was very aggressive. I lost eyebrows. I ain't have none of this. Hair, you lose hair everywhere. And I'm not trying to get too TMI, but everywhere. And it was one of those things that when when I was in that hospital bed, I literally just said, all right, God, you've got me through all these other storms and journeys. You can get me through cancer. And so I had to have a mental shift to be able to fight through each bag of chemo. Now, I'll tell you, sitting in a chair for about 4 hours, getting all this poison put in you, it'll drive you crazy.
It doesn't sound fun at all.
Oh, it's not at all.
So can we talk about that really quick? So,
Yeah.
You get diagnosed. You're in the hospital for a week. You get diagnosed, and then I take it that the doctors start going through with you what your plan is going to be to get rid of the cancer. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the chemo that you were taking was a very strong dosage of chemo. Is it because it was a very aggressive cancer? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's called R-CHOP. That's R-CHOP. This is probably one of the most aggressive chemotherapies because the mass was growing at a 60 to 70% rate. So it just keeps on growing, and if you don't treat it, so I had to make a choice with the doctor. Now, mind you, before that, I had to get a port. So for those that don't know, a portacath is a small little cap button that they put in your chest where you'll receive the chemotherapy. But I had to make the decision if I was going to get chemo or not. Now, I was going to be selfish. I was like, it's my 30th birthday. I'm trying to turn up. Like, I'm not trying to get, cancer treatments. But the doctor was like, you can do that. You can wait, but we don't know how it's going to spread. Right. So I manned up and I made the decision to start chemo. I had my first chemo treatment October 4th, 2012.
So you made this story sound real simple. Got diagnosed, took some chemo, and then right? But it had to be some stuff in the middle, right?
Yeah,
so you just turned 30, you're going through chemo. I know you had a really strong support system, but there still has to be times where you're like, shit, I have cancer. So talk to me about that mental process.
So the first time that I had it really hit me is I was at work and I was in the break room and I was just chilling. Now mind you, I'm supposed to be at home. I'm like, I don't want to stay home. I want to keep it moving. And I was on break and then I just was scratching my head. And all of a sudden it was like I gave myself my own haircut and a patch of hair was in the palm of my hands. My heart just stopped. And I literally just started like really crying because I'm like, what the hell just happened?
It got real.
Yeah.
It got real. And so not only did I panic, but I didn't really know what to do. And so I told my boss, I was like, I gotta go. And he was like, why you gotta go? I was like, look at this. And he was like, oh. So I left, but in the car ride to the barbershop, I just had a moment. It was one of those things like, this is really real. And I remember one of my close friends' mom who had breast cancer told me, she was like, just cut off your hair. Just do it now because otherwise it's going to come out. And I was like, no, I'm good. And that moment was there. But also too, like every time that I would go through like the treatments, that feeling of being empty, that feeling of being like somebody just poured acid down my throat. I just wanted to go to sleep and not think about it, And then the side effects of waking up, you can't taste anything. I gotta think about what it tastes like.
Oh,
that will drive you crazy. Like, just think about like your favorite food and you can't taste it. And then you try to, and I mean, I'll say it, smoke weed, try to get hungry, because you lose sense of appetite. But then after a while, it's like, it ain't the same. To what you were asking, Lauren, I had my own ritual inside, the bathroom. Actually, no, that's the second time. But it's still like those moments in the shower were my times where I cried a lot, and it was tough. And try to hold on to this this pain, because it didn't get easier. Every treatment, even afterwards, it got harder and harder. And I had to still keep pushing myself. And then I started to look more sick, and I didn't even look like myself. So it was a bitch. I'm sorry, excuse me. It was really hardcore grind time, because I had to keep it up. But with the support system, it helped. Just even calling you was like, yo, you tripping. And I was like, nah, it's real.
It's so funny that you say that, because I remember exactly where I was the day you called me and told me that you had cancer. I knew it. I was at work, and you were like, I gotta talk to you about something. I could tell it was serious. And I was just like, oh, he didn't got caught up with John or something like that. Like, I remember. And no, you were like, no, sis, this is like serious. So like, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna walk outside or whatever. And you told me, and I immediately broke down crying. Because, come on, let's keep it real, y'all. Every time you hear cancer, you automatically think someone's gonna die. It's it.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
And you're like, no, not now. Can't do that right now. So I had to, as a person in the community, in the support center, right? You have to switch gears, because you have to be able to be in control of your emotions, because the other person on the other end is really going through something, and all you're there is just to be the support system, you know? Exactly. So I remember those phone calls, and it was just like, I just need to be here to listen. I'm not here to, I may hang up and cry, and I did a couple of times, but that's what it is. And when you're in that, the village and the support system group.
And that was important that you just listen, that we just sometimes as cancer patients at the time just need someone just to listen and create that safe space. Not a space where it ends up being more sorrow, like, damn, you're gonna die, oh my God. Like, just a space for us to like just vent or even cry and just be in that moment, because you don't know until you go through the treatments. You don't know until you go through the side effects. You don't know what you go to when you have, like, there was times where people are like, oh, you shaved off of your head. And I was afraid to tell them at times I was going through cancer, because I didn't want to have to go down the road of you're about to die. I was like, I'm doing the MJ thing. I got the baldy. I'm shooting from, outside the perimeter. But those are the times where I wasn't as comfortable with allowing certain people in, especially
so
like.
How long did it take for you to get to that point where you were like, all right, guys, like, this is what's happening, like, to outside of your support system?
Because I got tired of everybody, like, they saw that obviously I had hair, eyebrows, and all of a sudden now I don't have it. And then I was like, what's wrong with having cancer? What's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. And I think the more that I started to talk about it, the more that I started to get comfortable, people that were calling me were like trying to come and cheer me up. And they were like, dang, you cheering me up, because I was so positive. So when I turned that gear on, after all my hair went out, I was at the mayor's, like when Mayor Bowser got inaugurated or whatever for DC, I was tuxedoed up and everything. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was at Bar 7 throwing happy hours for cancer, awareness, like it was a Soul Survivor happy hour at Bar 7. Let's do it. Me with my side effects of cancer, like my picture on there, just to, raise awareness. And so it definitely got easier. But what really hit was, so like after 4 treatments, then you're kind of like, if you're good, like meaning your scans are good, because I had to do a lot to protect my body. Your white blood cells come down once you have chemo. So you can't get another dose of chemo until your white blood cells go up. There's a shot that costs $5,000 a pop. Just one shot.
That's insane.
Called Neulasta. You get it. It helps you for not, getting a cold. Because if your white blood cells are down, those are the immune system. You cough on me, not saying you got,
that's your defense system.
Yes, defense system. So after I got through the 4th treatment, they were like, oh, you're good, but you got to finish the rest. I was like, well, I got to finish the rest. And when I tell you, when your body is rid of the cancer and you still have to take that chemo, when I tell you, I was driving myself, I literally every single time had to pull over like at least 4 or 5 times before I got home, and I'm throwing up, dry heaving. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing in my stomach, and I have to, because you can't eat. You really can't eat before you go to treatment.
Right.
Those were the most painful moments ever, you know? And so when on January 13th, the last treatment, 17th, excuse me, the last treatment, I was like, thank God, you know, thank God. Because
so you said you're a 2-time survivor.
Oh,
That was only the first time.
That was the first time.
Oh my God.
So
then the second journey, how did that work?
So one thing once you hit your 5-year after remission, that's like you're supposed to be free, right?
Okay.
So 2013, April 2018, I'm like, yo, I'm about to go on a 40-day fast. I'm about to, take all these sweets out. I got a sweet tooth, and sugar is not good for cancer anyway, but I'm still eating my Cinnabons and stuff, like, I don't care. I went on this diet regimen. And so I was at it, working out, things of that nature. And I started to shred real fast. I was like, oh, snap, it's working. I went to my line brother's wedding in Florida, Joe, his wedding, and I thought I had a cold. So I was just really like cold sweats and things of that nature. I'm not thinking nothing of it, and so go to the wedding. I take a NyQuil, all that stuff, but I'm still coughing and just like feeling like, they like, dang, you lost so much weight. So mind you, I was at like 175. I was at 140, 140, 145. But I'm thinking it's the fasting, right? The fasting and things, the working out, things of that nature.
That's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. But I'm like, dang, this works. I need to do this all the time.
Right.
I went to the doctor to like just do some blood work, just in general. And then the doctor left a note to the receptionist of like, you have to get an ultrasound on your liver. And I'm like, I got to get an ultrasound on my liver. And so, at that point, I was just like, so why gotta get that? So I got the ultrasound, right? And they were like, well, you have lymph nodes on your liver.
Damn.
So I'm like, well, hold on. What do you mean I got lymph nodes on my liver? They were like, it's bulky lymph nodes on your liver. And, but it should be okay. It should be okay. It's nothing serious. Literally a month in July, I started to like cough a lot, like keep coughing, but my chest wasn't hurting, but I was coughing and coughing and coughing. And I knew it was real because I was in a board meeting with managers, regional president come in. Now, mind you, regional president, you want to be on your best behavior. You're like, so I'm trying to get the next promotion. So on the, while he was talking, I kept coughing, right? And I'm sure he's like, yo, and I'm trying to control the cough, but he's like, yo, what's up with this dude? I'm trying to, deliver some inspirational, things to him, to this group, and I'm coughing. Went home, ended up dry heaving and coughing so much that, my wife at the time had to rush me to the hospital.
Wow.
Was in the hospital. They couldn't figure out what it was. I literally stayed in the hospital for another week. No, actually, they sent me home, and I had to come back. But I sat in there for a week, and they were like, maybe it's an infection. Do a biopsy, nothing, they can't find nothing. Do another biopsy. And then it's like, well, now you got not only on your liver, but you got stuff on your spleen too. What? So we started with the liver, now on the spleen. So they're pricking me, they're like charging me for everything. So when you get a wristband and they start clicking, that means they start writing more bills.
Right.
And like that's what's happening. You're like, oh, okay, here we go, another $400, another $100. By the way, staying in a hospital for a week is already like 25 G's easy.
Wait, 25 G's or 2,500?
25 G's. So
Wow.
We'll get it. So
we'll get into that.
We'll get into the.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we'll get into.
But
the
so basically, Jay, after being in the hospital, being pricked and all that, they finally took another biopsy and they found out that I had stage 4 lymphoma. And when stage 4 lymphoma, it's in 4 places: my liver, spleen, and both sides of my chest. So this whole entire time, I was sick, but I was literally dying. Literally,
Whoa.
at Joe's wedding, I was going through the spreading of cancer.
Wow.
Messed my head up, man.
Wow.
I literally was so messed up, man, because not only did I thought it was over after the 5-year anniversary, I gotta go through this shit again.
Mm-hmm.
And in stage 4, like the first time was large B cell stage 1. Stage 4 though?
Yeah.
Yo, I got depressed a little bit, man.
Right.
And so
it's got to be a deflating feeling to be like 5 years I'm cool, and then start feeling some type of way, and then to find out that it's stage 4, which is worse. Like you're like, fuck, I gotta do this again.
Yeah, man.
It's deflating.
Yeah.
So at that point, you hear stage 4, and most cancers don't have a stage after 4, right? So are you in your head like, all right, I'm gonna beat this like I beat the first time, or are you automatically in the space of let me start getting my affairs in order?
You know what's crazy is that, like, so I legally got married, right, in May, right? So I'm like married, we were keeping it a secret, try to do the whole whatever. But then I got hit with cancer again. I didn't care about the marriage because I cared about surviving once again. But I didn't even know, like, I knew how to approach it because it's funny, there was a sermon that my pastor was talking about, like, once you go through something and you know how you defeat it, you know how to defeat it again. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But this time I was just like, I don't care about anything else, but I got to beat this even worse because I'm at stage 4. So I resort to leaning on the friends and people that, even some people I was supposed to cut off. I'm gonna just keep it 100, And I had to fight even bigger and better this time, Now, granted, the treatment wasn't as aggressive, but mentally I had to prepare myself once again to sit in this chair, get this chemo, and still feel like everything is okay. And that's the part that having it again in the worst, in a different form, not as aggressive, but another again, like it started to strip a layer of me. I felt like you know how a butterfly is in a cocoon? I felt back in a different cocoon, but like it just started to just strip, and I was dying a little bit to become this butterfly, but it took a little bit longer for me to process.
So how long was this treatment? This
cycle? So the first time it was 6 treatments every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks. This one was bi-weekly, so 12.
Wow.
Let me do 12.
Wow.
So did you do radiation as well?
So no, I didn't require radiation during this time, but that's almost 48 bags of chemo.
That's insane.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. So you talked about one shot that costs $5,000 just so that you don't get a cold, right? Yeah. Then you just talked about staying in the hospital for a week, and I thought you meant $2,400. You meant $24,000.
25.
25,000.
Yeah.
First of all, like, I need 25 stacks right now, and I will be loan free, right? So just to stay in a hospital for a week, and this is someone who's going through stage 4 cancer, you have to worry about the financial piece of it as well. Talk about that a little bit, like, but you're working, you have health insurance, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Wells Fargo. They got some of the best insurance on the map. I don't care what's in the news, you see what I'm saying? But I don't care. Yes, I don't care. That insurance is all that.
Wow.
Because my deductible was, all I had to do was pay like $4,000.
But look,
wow.
but 4,000 compared to what you just said. But what about the folks that don't even have that? You know what I mean? And we talk a lot about preventative stuff too, like going to your checkups and stuff like that.
I mean, because you're if you tally everything up, you're close to almost $100,000.
More than that, it's almost like 175, and that's chemo treatment alone is expensive.
All right, so I didn't even factor that in. So yeah, about $200,000 then.
Almost $200,000, but I only had to pay out of pocket.
Right.
$4,000.
Right. So yeah, I mean.
And shoot, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't even have that. Luckily, I had good credit.
Right.
I put that thing right on the card. But at least I had the amount to cover it. But if I didn't have it, I would be like some other people. Doesn't matter what race you are, black, white, Hispanic, that go bankrupt and because of medical bills. Some people have to put their house, you see what I'm saying, for medical bills. So I tell anyone, check your insurance and don't be cheap. I know it comes out your check, but you get what you pay for, right? And but also too, like now I signed up. Wells Fargo just did something even more better. See, that's why I stay with Wells Fargo, that they offer cancer insurance.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So just in case it comes back again, I put a claim in, they'll give me, what I need for that deductible up to like $15,000.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
That's on top of having the other insurance, So insurance is key because that's why some people just don't even deal with the hospitals because they can't afford it. That bill comes in the mail.
Yeah, we had a conversation with a friend of mine. Shout out to Dr. Fonseca, and we were talking a little bit about healthcare and how it's hard to navigate it, let alone, understand what you're signing up for or what you get or what you have to pay for or whatever. It's a whole, there's different ways to go through it, and it's just a lot for people. And on top of that, they have their illness or whatever they have to go through mentally to go through that stuff. So it's a lot.
And I think you just got to read. Like, I know people say you don't want to read. Please read every single thing. You just signing up, read, because you might sign up for coverage and it don't cover those expenses. It doesn't cover those things that, like, when you get sick, I have Kaiser with Wells Fargo. I never pay for medicine. Because I read that. They were like, oh, all your prescriptions are good.
So you had to start your treatment up again. You said about every 2 weeks you're getting chemo treatment, correct?
Yeah.
So then what happened after that?
So February 7th, that's next Sunday. So the 2-year anniversary of me being in remission.
Nice.
Yeah, after that, man, I had to. It was hard for me, man, because not only was I just finished treatment, but then I had, a ceremony for a wedding and things of that nature. But I had this vision, right, of starting a nonprofit. And I thought it was going to be for like financial literacy. It was going to be called Lucrative Minds. And, to teach younger kids in the Black community how to manage money, stocks and things of that nature. But it couldn't happen because I looked up the name and somebody already had it, like in I think like Oregon or something, right? So I really just sat with God and I was just like, you've already blessed me once, blessed me twice, and I didn't even say during the treatment I was doing so well they removed one of the bags of chemo because I didn't need it because I was doing so well. So thank God for that. But then he put it on my heart. He was like, you need to do something for cancer survivors. You are able to share your journey, share your story. People are championing for you. You're making it look easy, hashtags, beat it like Prez. Like, I'm just chilling. I'm in the clubs. I'm doing this, but I'm making it look easy only because I've had the mental shift and knowing that God is going to get me through this storm. So then I was looking for a name. I was like, because I already knew I wanted to host a podcast. I was like, I wanted people to share their stories. I didn't know that was a podcast, but I want people to share their stories. Come on and do that. And so one day I was just, looking and it said positive deposits. And I was like, it's so cliche-ish. Everybody's like, hey, positive deposits, but that was the name. And
I always, not to cut you off, but we've done this for so long, and it's always interesting to find how people are so similar in that they may be hesitant about telling their story because they may be either too vulnerable or they don't think people can relate. But then when they actually put their story out, they see the outpouring of everybody commenting like, oh my God, that was my journey too, or same, or whatever. And it's like they open up this dialogue, and it's like, yeah, there's people out there that go through the same stuff that you do. It may not be the exact way that they went through, but hearing these stories of just perseverance and redemption and just things like that, I think that definitely uplifts people to want to open up about their journeys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Positive Deposits was born from you trying to start something else, but putting it out there that you were going to help cancer survivors. So talk to us a little bit about Positive Deposits, what your mission statement is, and who are you really targeting for the organization?
Yeah, so Positive Deposits is an organization that focuses on supporting cancer patients or survivors through community impact outreach, courageous conversations like the podcast, and fundraising to build hope and inspiration. As you see right here, this is the logo, right? And as you see that the person's smiling, but you see the cancer ribbon within them. So you can smile about cancer, and that's the hope and inspiration. These colors, the purple represents the stage 4 piece of it, and which is that's the color for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and as the lime green is for Hodgkin's lymphoma. So that this is what came out of it, right? Shout out to Corey Mannings. He created this vision. If you need a logo, definitely.
Nice little plug.
He's very thorough. But I wanted not only people to share their story, which is the courageous conversations, but I also wanted that community outreach and impact, the things that people need to know about cancer, the things that can help people live after survivorship. Like, I'll just plug it. We're coming together with live cooking class demonstrations where we'll be actually sending the participants a little kit with the food that we're going to be cooking, so they can cook virtually. We're now developing a fitness program, where it's meditation and like a light boot camp, so that can stay active and have that exercise. But then also too, the support group, that's very important because you'll have other fellow survivors being able to just vent and have a safe space. And so those are the things that we're about to launch this year. Now, mind you, we just hit our 1-year anniversary.
Congratulations on that. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but also too, the dope thing is that we've partnered with the Laura Lee Foundation, which is a nonprofit that has a laser technology that can, after one treatment, 2 weeks, it clears the cancerous tumors. Now, mind you, they're only doing it on mice. However, we're raising money so that way she can do human clinical trials.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so a lot of people were curious to know why I'm doing this. And a lot of people look at me like, what you know about cancer? until I tell them, like, I'm a 2-time survivor.
Right.
Like, wow.
So. Yeah, exactly.
Were you going to say something, Jay? I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. So
talk to us about this podcast. I hear that you have this super dope producer of the podcast. So, tell us about the Positive Deposit. Tell us about Positive Deposits podcast.
Yeah.
Just tell us about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this super duper producer, you're probably looking at her on the screen.
I was like, I'm not the producer.
Yeah. Nah, Jay, I see you one time. I was like, oh no. Of course, you have Lauren Rei, Linda,
Yeah.
who's, the executive producer of the Positive Deposit podcast, where we transform minds to change lives.
We do.
And that podcasting was new for me, and Lauren, I'm about to tell you, she's dope. She's been doing this, and I told her, hey, I want to do this. And so he pretty much trained me up, and now I got a pretty good hang of it now.
It gets therapeutic after a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And so I wanted the podcast to not only highlight African Americans, right? I think that there's nothing wrong with doing that, right? But cancer has no race, right? It comes in all shapes, sizes, and forms, and you'll be surprised how cancer actually breaks down racism. I had the privilege of playing on the Coaches vs. Cancer's first ever basketball tournament, and some of my close friends, Mr. Thomas Cantley, Mr. Ballsy, he's from Canada. You know what I mean? Like, wow. I would have, and because we both had cancer, both have survivors, and having that dialogue and that conversation, it just not only shows unity in cancer, but it allows someone to see, like, I got testicular cancer stage 4. What do I do? Right? I have breast cancer stage 1A. I got to get a double mastectomy. I have CML. I have multiple myeloma. I mean, these are just some of the journeys of, you didn't even know probably those cancers existed.
Yeah.
Right. So
now we have, Dr. Hadia Green. We just released her episode, like Martin Luther King. And then we have, Shonda Grisby coming soon, and that's a breast oncologist, and we're not even forgetting about the caregivers. Those are the most important people too, because they have to go through the journey as well. So the podcast has all different facets, but we've gotten a really well response where, like, I wish I had this when I was going through chemo. Bless you. And and there's people just coming out the woodworks like, yo, I want to be a guest. That's
amazing. That's amazing.
So I have to say this about the podcast. And doing podcasts now for about 4 or 5 years of my own podcast. The one thing that
it'll be 6 years.
It'll be 6 years?
Yeah.
All right. So 6 years of doing podcasting. I have to admit, when we were talking about the organization and what role that you wanted me to play in the organization, and I want to thank you publicly for asking me to be on the board. I've never been on the board of anything before, so it's my first time being on the board of a committee, and it's so rewarding. And the other board members are great. Shout out to everybody on the Positive Deposit board. But when we were talking about how we wanted to develop this podcast, I was concerned because talking about cancer is heavy, right? And it's just like, does everybody want to come back to listen to this, because it's heavy and it's sad at times. So how do we make it different for people? And adding those different factors, and not just the survivors, but the caregivers, the doctors, other people that have organizations, other people of other races and genders and ages, has just been a pleasure, because especially in where we are today in society, we're so divided. Let's just be honest, right?
No question.
It's so great to have something where, unfortunately, it's cancer, but it still unites us in a way, So it has taught me a lot as well, that, like, everything doesn't have to be about just specifically targeting our community, right? And I mean, I think right now we're all selfish with that. Like, we want to help our community, and we should, right? But something like cancer affects everyone. So when you're hearing these people's stories, it's like, I'm on the other end sometimes. People can't see me. I'm off camera, but I'm like in tears, because these stories of survival, and I'm not just talking about the sad stuff, people making it to the other side.
Yeah.
Or it's a great story about how someone found his family members because of cancer. That's a great story. Listen to it. It's wild. But I appreciate the diversity of the Positive Deposit podcast. And even if you don't have cancer, you weren't a survivor, and you know someone, just click on any episode. Just to hear somebody's, story, or just to get more information.
Yeah.
And it's just really, really dope. So,
but I like, not to cut you off, but to kind of go off of that, like, I feel like because cancer is it doesn't discriminate against anybody, I feel like there's a lot of people that have some sort of degree of separation, either one degree of someone they know, or themselves, or some sort of degree. I mean, I just feel like with cancer, because there's so many different types, that it could affect men, women, whatever, it doesn't matter, that people have some sort of connection to it. And having these people, like you said, having these people come and talk about their journeys or their stories, or these doctors that come and talk about other people's stories, or whatever the case may be, I feel like a lot of people could relate to that, because they're connected somehow, some way, either to a friend or a family member or a friend of a friend, or whatever the case may be.
No, yeah, you'll be surprised. And I don't know what's going on in America. I really don't. But I'll get calls about, like, look, man, my dad just got prostate cancer, or I just found out, like, my brother, has this. I just found out a business frat brother, has, it's like a GI neuro, it's a different type of cancer. I didn't even know it existed, where she has the tumors on the back of her eye.
That's wild you said that. So probably the first experience I ever had with someone close to me was my line brother. He had that. It was such a very rare.
Hold on, what frat are you in?
I was in a Latino frat called Gamma Phi Sigma.
Yo, and y'all kind of dope. I seen y'all sister sorority is pretty dope too.
We so long story short, he had like a very rare form of cancer. I think what they said was like there's only like 23 cases like ever or something like that at that point. And it was right behind his eyes, behind his nose, behind his sinus. And not to get too graphic, but they had to, pretty much make an incision around his face, pull his face down, take the tumors out, put his face back, and he still had to do chemo. Yeah. He lasted a year after his diagnosis, but it was one of the most bizarre things, because it just felt like something out of a movie. What the procedure was.
That looked like Face Off.
Yeah, and the fact that it was so rare, it didn't seem real.
And it's crazy you say that, because that person, she's on the podcast. She's, what I mean? So
that's amazing.
But what was so real, and maybe Lauren, I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it, is that to be able to see her live in her skin, eye patch, with the glasses on, like, I can't wait to
But you don't want to give her story away, but they kind of basically told her, like, this is kind of what it is, because we can't remove it, right?
Can't remove it,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
She's on treatment for the rest of her life, but one of the realest. I'm blessed to be able for people to really come forward. And she reached out. She and others have been reaching out. Like, I would love to be on the podcast. I've even got a call from Germany.
Whoa.
Just
you're touching lives. You're going international waters, man. That's amazing.
I mean,
and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to set out to touch people, not even in just the DC area, Baltimore area, Philly area. We wanted it to be all over the place. And that's what we've been able to accomplish. But Positive Deposits, the organization, has so much stuff going on. We just partnered with Orly. You talked about the fitness program, the cooking program. Talk to people how they can get involved, and so
donations.
We can keep Positive Deposits going.
Yeah. So just like Lauren was saying, we just we had we have a partnership with Orly Foundation. So that's two different initiatives. So I just want to be clear, because when you go donate on our website, www.positivedeposits.org. The first thing is supporting Positive Deposits. Now, just like you support American Cancer Society, the Lymphoma Leukemia Society, and all these other societies, you know, folks have the opportunity to support a nonprofit that's owned by a Black person that has doing cancer research. The same stuff that American Society and all them doing, and hey, donate all these things, but they don't see the results. Orally Foundation is a part of our affiliate cancer research program. So you'll see that. You'll obviously see our donating for us so we can fulfill those programs that we're going to do. But also, too, if you want to donate to cancer research, we have it right there on our donation page to the Orally Foundation. That's who we're sponsoring. And I encourage you to sponsor the smaller programs because that's where you'll see the magic happen, right? And at least you know what the cause is for. So.
And you can support through the merch too, right?
Yes, you can support the merch. We are revamping some of the merch, you know. So right now we have our T-shirts and our mugs, but we the merch, there's some exclusive merch that I'm working on. You know, we got some distributors. You know, me and Lauren been talking about the on-demand piece of it, and then we want quality. You know, I don't want, you know, but a portion of the merchandise does go to the Orally Foundation. So that's another thing. But also too, if you got Amazon Smile, you know,
cool.
So we are on the charity list. So Positive Deposits, you can, if you order from Amazon a lot, that 0.05%, it goes a long way. And so we can donate there as well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it would be remiss if I didn't bring this part up before we close out. A part of your story also is, a lot of people don't know this, but when men go through chemo and go through cancer, you guys have, you risk some reproductive stuff. Is that correct? Like,
yeah. So
you're talking about like losing sperm?
No, well, so this is the thing, right?
But I'm coming to the brighter side of this. So go ahead.
Yeah. So when I first started getting chemo in 2012, you know, chemotherapy kills your sperm's cell count, right? And so it is encouraged to freeze your sperm before you start treatment. If you don't, the chance of you reproducing is like really, really, really slim. Mind you, I didn't freeze my sperm. Reason why? It's expensive, you know, for you to freeze and hold it and things of that nature. So I already went into it like, dang, I may not have kids, right? I mean, that saves me a check, you know, and things of that nature.
I can't.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm like, so
no
dang,
serious moment with you at all.
I could just shoot up the club, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
No, but
Shots.
no, but the reason why cancer is a blessing for me is because despite being diagnosed once, despite being diagnosed twice, over 40 bags of chemo, right? God placed a beautiful baby girl in my life. And the doctor, yeah, clap it up.
Clap it up, my baby.
Yes.
Baby Nova.
Baby Nova. And my oncologist was like, how did that happen? Because if you never froze your sperm, it's hard to have a child. My prophyte in Kappa, he froze his sperm, so he was able to have a child, but you know, Nova, which means, what an H means, gift from God, and I'm blessed. And she's a very healthy baby. You know what I mean?
That's incredible, man.
So it is possible, but it's through God. So I'll say this is like, you know, you hear about the stories in the Bible, the miracles and things of that nature, and it can happen. So I would never count it out, but I'm blessed because, you know, fatherhood is a precious thing. So.
Congrats, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Press, we want to thank you again for being on the show. Finally. So
I know, right?
Leave me alone.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, this was awesome, man. And thank you for y'all's platform, even in COVID. You know, like I know y'all. Everybody deals with COVID, but this virtual world is space. So, but
we took a hiatus, but we're back, people. We are back. And bringing you more stories like this, like yours, Presley. We have a lot of other stuff coming up. Just real quick, make sure you guys follow Positive Deposits on all social media handles, and also go to the website, positivedeposits.org, and hit that donation button. But also check out the podcast as well. It's on all major streaming platforms, and we drop every 2 weeks. We're on season 2 right now, so you can actually go back and listen to some of season 1 stories, which I'm trying to tell y'all, they're amazing stories. There's some incredible stories.
And Lauren, they're all on the website, so they could just.
Oh, word.
Yep, they can go
easy.
right
Just
all
functionality. Perfect. That's awesome.
And on YouTube as well, so you get the visual as well. So we want you guys to check that out. But on top of that, make sure you guys are going to waterice.com. We are your source to everything Philly. We know everything that's going on, even in quarantine and COVID. What you can and cannot do, we keep you up to date on that. Water Ice has some really cool stuff coming up. Really excited to bring to you. Yeah, I can't even leak it, but it's going to be some really good stuff. We are still out here working for sure. So shout out to the whole Water Ice crew, my girl Farrah, Hector, the boss, and Jay. Always, we appreciate you being here on the Lauren Rei Live Show. 6 years, yo, really?
In September, it'll be 6 years.
Sheesh, 6 years.
You said 4 or 5. I was like, nah, man.
I know. I'm starting to lose count. So with that being said, we want to thank everybody for sticking around with the Lauren Rei Live Show for 6 years coming up this year. And we are just excited to be back here, even though we're in a virtual world. We knew we were important. We had to bring it to you. Thank you, Presley, again for being on the show. And until next time, everybody, you already know the drill. Not all superheroes wear capes, but sometimes
they wear headphones.
Peace, guys.
Peace.